everybody. Uh-oh. Oh no. I got double things going on here. That's not what I wanted to happen. Okay. Oh man. Is it gonna stop? It's gonna stop in just a minute. Oh, now I know exactly what happened. I was actually hearing double from something else. Man, I was doing too many things in the beginning. Anyway, welcome to another Going Rounds podcast. I lost track of time. I was doing a couple different things. You got to forgive me. I've been sick since Saturday. So, actually, everything was working just fine. I just had the volume up on where I monitor the stream. Who cares? I screwed up. I mean, what else is new? But here's the thing. Things are actually working correctly, and that makes me happy. So that's good. I just have to, not be so distracted and lose track of time. But that's what I did. It's okay. Nothing was doubled. It was just in my ears. Again, I've been sick since Saturday. So I'm actually happy that I'm here right now doing this because, I almost just called it off for the week. That's how sick I've been. I'm sure you hear it in my voice a little bit. I'm going to try to get through this without coughing. Try to get through this without having to clear my throat a bunch of times. I probably sound a little nasally, but this has been the best day I've felt since Saturday. Friday night, I felt a little bit of something, but Saturday morning, I just woke up and I had sore throat. I had a little bit of a cough, progressively got worse through the day. I had planned on playing golf since like Thursday or Friday. I don't even remember what day it was anymore that I planned. It was a super late reservation I made, and thankfully I got people together. We went and played some golf on Sunday, but I wasn't sure I was even going to make it. That's how bad I felt Saturday night. And then, I got up and played golf, and I probably made myself worse. It was a cold and windy day. I thought it was going to rain, so I was like, you know what? I might just wind up getting out of this because I don't feel well. But stupid me. I do this to myself all the time. I push myself through. And I don't know. I put myself through some shit sometimes on purpose, and I don't even realize it. I just do it. I'm like, fuck it. I'll just get it done. And I really wanted to play golf. The last time we tried to play golf, it was too cold, too early in the morning. There was like a crazy delay. It would have taken all day, like super long. So we didn't play. So I had to play some golf. It's been too long. Anyway, enough of the rambling. So I've been sick. Excuse my voice. But I'm feeling better, and I hope it just progressively gets better. And my poor wife is still sick, and I really hope that she starts feeling better soon because the sickness always hits her harder than it hits me. So, I mean, I was pretty bad for a minute, but I tend to bounce back a little quicker. She just has the bad luck of getting hit harder for longer. So I'm hoping that it progressively gets better for her like it did for me. And then that's it. We get better and move on. Who knows what the hell? I mean, COVID, I don't know. Who knows anymore what's happening in this world? It's wintertime. People get sick. That's what happens. So let's just get through it. Let's make it happen. Let's do the show. That's what I'm here for. And I'm happy that I'm here and able to do it. So yeah, there's UFC is back, and that's what we're here to talk about. Finally, after almost a month of no fights, we have the UFC back with a fight night. Unfortunately, in the Apex, if you pay attention to any of these fights, when they fight in Vegas, and it's a fight night, it's almost always in the Apex. I don't know when they're going to get rid of that, but to me, I mean, yeah, you can hear the punches, you can hear the kicks, you can hear a lot of stuff that you don't hear always, but man, it's just not the same. Like you need the crowd, you need the You need the cheers, you need the boos, whatever's happening in the crowd. You know, you see somebody walking out with music playing, and you're just like, and they're walking and there's nobody. You know, there's like 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 people tops. You know, I know that they're letting more people in there now, but this was a thing that happened during the pandemic. Why are we still doing this? But I don't know. It's the UFC. That's their choice. It's their business. That's what they do. So we got to deal with it. And, you know, I would love to be one of those people that got to be in there during the time, just because it is kind of empty and stuff like that. But to watch on TV, it's not fun. It just seems so dead and so quiet, and it's just awkward and weird. You would think you'd be used to it by now, but every time I really pay attention, I'm like, this sucks, man. Let's get the crowd back in there. Everybody puts on a show for what, you know, at the end of the fights, they do the post-fight press conference, and yeah, you're being broadcasted out to millions of people, but and yeah, you're talking to the camera, and you know, but most of the time they're playing to the crowd. So for them not to be out there saying, you know, let's hear it for so and so who just won, and then there's like 10 people, yay! Like, okay, this is fucking weird. But that's just me. That's my feeling on the thing. I know a lot of other people feel the same way. It just just get everything back in. I mean, but then they go to arenas and they go places and they charge god awful amounts of money to get in. Miami, I posted that on social media, and you know, talking about, you know, I posted a tweet saying what the prices were, and like the lowest price for a ticket in Miami for $299, is it $298, $299, $299 is fucking $250 for the cheapest. That's the cheapest ticket you can buy. So yeah, you're paying to get in. And so, you know, you take two people, it's $500, probably $800 after like fees and taxes and fucking whatever else. You know, I saw somebody that said they paid like $1,800 for, and they bought the $800 tickets, and they wind up paying $1,800. That's, it's a lot, man. So I don't know. That's why I don't go to fights very often. That's a lot of money to be dropping. You know, you can take a whole vacation for that price. There we go. There's number one. I'm gonna try not to do that as too often, but yeah. So who knows, man? The prices are crazy. The pay-per-views are crazy too. $80, but I'd rather pay $80 a month than to pay. I mean, that's like how many pay-per-views if you go to the fight. And the experience is cool. I've been to a couple. They were all fight nights, no pay-per-views. And they were fun and they were cool, and I like the experience and I like being there, but sometimes it's just fun to watch at home too. So I'll get back to one sooner or later. But for now, we do this, and we have watch parties, or, you know, people come over and watch the fights with me, stuff like that. That's fun too. I'm okay with it. But yeah, Combat Sports News. That's what we're going to start with. I have not had any alcohol since, I think, Saturday for dinner. I had a drink, yeah, and it was one, and I didn't even enjoy it because I was feeling crappy. And that's it. I don't think I've had anything since then. This is my first drink in almost a week. And that's okay. I mean, it's not like I've gone plenty. It's not like I need it. It's just normally I haven't podcasted. There's been no podcasting since last Sunday. No, not even Sunday. Was it Sunday? No, not even Sunday. Last week for this podcast was the last time I podcasted. I usually podcast on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Sundays and Tuesdays is for technically unsound podcasts. We go live on those days, but this past week we did not. So other things going on for Tommy, and I was sick. So no podcasting. It's been a week. So I usually have a drink during the podcast, and I haven't. So here's my first one. Let's get this going. and start talking about some combat sports news. It feels good to be back here. It feels good to podcast again. And hopefully my voice holds up again like last week. This will probably be a bit shorter. But who knows if my hey, my mom's in the chat. Hey, Mom. Thank you. She said she hopes we feel better. I appreciate it, Mom. I love you. Thank you for supporting me and watching my my stuff here, even though I know you're not like an MMA fan, but she still supports me. That's really cool. My family all supports me, and I love it. So I love you guys, and thank you. And yeah, hopefully my voice holds up, and we're going to get going here. Talking about the big boxing news that happened this past week. Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou gets announced. Big fight for boxing because, you know, Francis fought Tyson Fury and no one thought that he was going to have a chance. No one thought that he was going to do well, but he did. And he, Magix, we all support you. I know, bro. Thank you. I appreciate you too. But yeah, no one thought Francis Ngannou had any kind of chance against Tyson Fury, and then what happens? He drops him in the second round, I think, and no one thought that there was even a chance of that. So he did better than a lot of people thought, and a lot of people actually thought that he wound up winning that fight. So, and of course, the boxing world wasn't going to let that happen. If there was even a doubt in their head that that Ngannou, you know, with Ngannou not finishing that fight, there was no way he was going to win that fight. He had to finish him. He had to knock him out or TKO him, and it didn't happen. So now he gets his chance against another big name boxer in Anthony Joshua, who's made, you know, has made a big name for himself. He's fought Deontay Wilder, or no, he's fought, who has he fought before? Maybe he hasn't fought either one of them yet. He was supposed to fight Deontay Wilder. But anyways, he's fought a lot of big names. The big matches have been trying to be made between him and Deontay Wilder, him and Tyson Fury. They haven't been able to put it together. And Deontay Wilder lost his last fight, and they were talking about the fact that they had already signed a contract to fight each other. So I don't know what happened there. And I guess this is a bigger matchup now, and Ngannou is going to get a huge payday from what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing and what I've just seen on social media is that the it's going to be like 20 mil again for Francis Ngannou, which that's what he got with Tyson Fury, and then Anthony Joshua's getting like 60 mil for this fight. So yeah, big money. Ngannou's getting paid. That's good for him, especially since, you know, that's what he was looking to box and he was looking to make that money, and that's what he's doing. So this matchup got made, and I'm actually pretty surprised about it because I thought for sure they were going to either do another Tyson Fury fight because of how close that was and all the speculation that he didn't train correctly for Ngannou. He took him lightly, so they, you know, want to bring him back and maybe have him really like work him, finish him, you know, show and prove that he really is 1,000 times better than Ngannou, and get that doubt out of people's heads. But now he has a fight lined up with Alexander Usyk, so we'll see how he does with that fight, and then maybe Ngannou winds up getting the win against Anthony Joshua, which a lot of people don't think he can do. But a lot of people didn't think he could knock down Tyson Fury either. So maybe he gets that win. Fury gets the win. Another big matchup. Maybe it's for the belt. Maybe Ngannou works his way up. I mean, he's ranked now. I think he's ranked in number 10 in the top 10. So with that, if he is able to get a win out of this or even an impressive showing like he did against Tyson Fury, then there you go. He can get that rematch, and who knows what will happen in that second fight. So this is big news, big boxing news, big news for MMA with Francis Ngannou going over and really proving himself as opposed to what other MMA fighters have done. But sticking on that boxing news, a little bit more on the MMA side, we got Jorge Gamebred Masvidal versus Nate Diaz. No one has really said yet where, what promotion, what event. I don't think any of that's been said yet, but these two are set up to fight again. They fought each other in MMA in the UFC. Is a doctor stoppage win for Masvidal because Diaz had a gigantic cut on his eye. They wouldn't let him, finish the fight. Doctor stoppage for the BMF title, and Masvidal got that win. So now we get a rematch in boxing, and hopefully Diaz shows a little more skill in boxing than he did against Jake Paul. I don't know what was going on there. He did not look good, though. He did not look like the boxer we've seen him look like in MMA, and maybe he's just not great at boxing as an individual sport as he is boxing for MMA, But I'm hoping that he comes back and shows and proves that, he can do better than that, and this could be a great fight between these two. They're two big names, two recognizable names, so it would be nice to see a really good fight come out of this one. But with that being said, UFC 300's coming up early this year in April, and the rumors have been going around about who's going to be the main event, what are they going to be the big fights, what's happening here, and Diaz has been tweeting about it, talking about how he would love to fight at UFC 300, but there's no one to fight. Dustin Poirier threw it out there saying, "Hey, let's do it." But of course, yeah, that's not happening. That's already been said. He's lined up for this fight here already. This has been confirmed multiple sources apparently. So I guess we'll have to wait and see for all of the, the 100% confirmation and news of where and when and how and all that stuff. But, there's still people talking about having Nate Diaz fight Conor in 300. But Conor already talked about, like I said in the last show, that him and Chandler are fighting at International Fight Week for the UFC in June 29th. So that's already in the works too. So who knows? But some announcements have been made for 300. But before 300 happens, we have UFC 299, and it's looking stacked. It's looking like it should be the lineup for UFC 300, which is kind of crazy because it's almost like, so we have this month, we have next week, actually, not this weekend, but next weekend, we have Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. That's going to be a pretty good fight if those two fight like they did in the stands. Well, hopefully better than that, because obviously they'll be out in the open and able to do whatever, show and prove their skill instead of just trying to get as many punches off before they get separated. But that fight's this month. And then next month is Volkanovski versus Topuria. That should be pretty good. I haven't really seen the rest of that card and how it's shaping out. They haven't really done a whole lot with that one, I don't think. But 299 is looking like it should be 300. We got Sean O'Malley versus Chito Vera 2 for the main event. The just announced not too long ago, Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint Denis as the co-main. And then Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della Maddalena. That's going to be a banger. Kevin Holland versus Michael Venom Page. Michael Venom Page coming over from Bellator. You got Curtis Blades versus Almeida. I can't remember his first name. Peter Yan versus Song Yadong. Mateusz Gamrot versus Rafael Dos Anjos. And then Caitlin Chukagian versus Macy Barber. Like, that's a stacked fucking card. And obviously, the main card is probably made up of the first 5 fights. And then the rest are undercard, something like that. So, I mean, that's a hell of a fight card right there. But for 300, like, they haven't announced the whole thing yet. We have the ones that have been announced are Aljamain Sterling versus Kelvin Cater. Aljamain Sterling's going up in weight to fight Kelvin Cater. And then we have Cody Brundage versus Bo Nickel and Yuri Prohaska versus Alexander Rakic. And then I think today another one was announced, which was Cody Garbrandt versus Davison Figueiredo, because Figueiredo went up in weight. Cody looked good in his last fight with that walk-off KO. And then also Yan Xiaonan versus Zhang Weili that's one of the title fights. Dana said that there was going to be 3 title fights on this card. I don't know how they're going to make that happen. I would think that maybe 2 is possible, but 3, I don't know. So we're still waiting to see what that announcement's going to look like, and waiting to see how it all shapes up, what the rest of the card looks like. I need a drink because my voice is starting to get all cracky again. That's a problem. My throat dries out like super quick when I'm talking a lot. And then if I'm outside and there's wind blowing, wow, I basically lose my voice very fast. So that's why I say I'm lucky I'm even doing this today. But anyway, with this 299 card, it's insane. That's a dope-ass card. It's going to be fun. I don't remember where 299 is happening, but I should look it up real fast because I was actually curious about that. Let's see if it'll tell us. Damn, it doesn't say here. I'd have to really look. I think, is that the Miami card? Maybe that was the Miami card. UFC 299 location. Let's see what this says. Yes, Miami. So that is the Miami card. Okay, so I think February UFC 298 is going to be in Mexico. No. Honda Center. Australia. Oh, Australia. No, that's not right. To defend his blah 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 blah. Where the fuck is that? Who cares? Anyway, I was just trying to figure that out because that was one of the things I was actually wondering as well. But at least I know 299 is obviously in Miami, and 298 should be a pretty good card as well. Like I said, I haven't really seen who all is supposed to be on that card, but actually, let me check that real quick. That's what's good about this. Okay, Volkanovski versus Topuria. Oh, Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa. That should be a damn good fight. Jeff Neal versus Ian Gary. Those are the only fights on the main card so far. Tatiana Suarez versus Amanda Lemos. And Marcos Rogerio de Lima versus Justin Tafa. Those are on the prelim card. And then you got a few cards of Amanda Lee versus Miranda Maverick on the early prelims. So it hasn't been rounded out yet. But yeah, so we're waiting on 300. 299's looking like a banger. And there you go. Combat Sports News. That's really all we got right now. There's not a whole lot else going on. You know, it's slow starting for the new year. But once this fight card happens this weekend, that's, you know, things will start picking up. Things are going to start happening. And don't get me wrong, just because I'm having a drink now, I've been drinking a lot of water. I've been drinking nothing but water. So much damn water. It's like having to take a piss every 2 seconds. TMI, I know. But, dude, I've been trying to drink so much fucking water. Been taking meds and stuff, like just trying to get better. So I had to do the show, though. I hope my voice isn't driving anybody too crazy, and hopefully it holds up for the rest. But let's move on to the main event of the show. As always, UFC Vegas 284. We have Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker, part 2, because the first fight ended in no contest due to a illegal knee being thrown. Oh no. My music hasn't been playing that whole time. That's hilarious. That whole first round, I'm thinking the music's playing, and it wasn't, because I panicked and I turned everything down. So that's fun. Well, now you got some music because it wasn't playing before. But my background music, I don't know if anybody really pays attention to it, but I like having the background music because it breaks it up a little bit. You know, it's just me here talking. So me just talking on my own, I don't know. I feel like having the music going a little bit is good. As long as it's not too loud. So hopefully I don't have that up too loud. But I panicked and had my little mess up in the beginning, and I turned it all down like a dumbass. So anyway, Ankalaev versus Walker 2. First one, I think Johnny Walker got a little rocked and wound up on the ground and had a knee down, and then Ankalaev came up and fucking kneed him in the head. And then Walker looked like he was okay, but when the doctor came in and asked him where he was, this was happening in Abu Dhabi, I think, or no, Dubai. I don't even remember where it was. Anyway, he said, he asked him what country he was in, and he said the desert. So the doctor was like, nope, he's not going to continue. So that was it. So, and it was a disappointing way to end that fight. It seemed like a good fight to get going. So, yeah, it kind of sucked that it ended that way. So now we have the rematch for the main event here this week for the first event of 2024. Oh, man. I feel like the music was loud and then I turned it down too much. I'm all over the place, but that's all right. I blame it on the sickness this time. But let's see who's on the prelims. This isn't like the biggest card to start the year off with. There's not a whole lot going on this card. There's a couple names at the top, but nothing big, nothing too crazy. So, hey, it is what it is. And at least after a month off, we finally get a fight card. So I'll take it. Let's see at the bottom of the card. Nicholas Moda versus Tom Nolan. Tom Nolan is undefeated, 6-0, versus Moda, who's 13-5 in the lightweight division. Let's see, anyone else? Man, there's a lot of just up and comer. Matthew Semmelsberger versus Preston Parsons in the welterweight division. Semmelsberger's 11-6, Parsons 10-4. And then we got, oh man, I totally forgot about this. Andrei Arlovsky, his overall record is 34-22. That's 56 total fights in the UFC. I don't even know. There's so many fights in the UFC. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh, God. He's had so many runs in the UFC, it's hard to even count. He only had 4 fights before he got into the UFC. And then he was in the UFC for 2000 through 2008. And then he left for a bit. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then came back in 2014. And has been there ever since. That's crazy. 14 out of his, what did I say? 56 fights. So 42 fights in the UFC. That's crazy. Now him and Jim Miller's on this card as well. Jim Miller also has like 30 some odd fight, 40 some. I'll have to look again, but he has these two guys have like 50 fights between each other, or I'm sorry, like 60 fights between each other on this card. It's crazy. So Arlovsky's fighting I don't even know who his opponent is. Oh, Waldo Cortez Acosta, who is 10-1 overall, coming off I think a win. Yes, over, I can't say that guy's name. August of last year, KO by punches in the first round for Acosta. And Arlovsky also is coming off. Nope, Arlovsky's coming off a loss. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. So hopefully he can break that, get a win over Acosta, and keep going with this crazy run of UFC fights. But he's fucking, how old is he? 44, and he's still fighting and has 54 fights overall. 42? He has almost as many fights as he is for every year of his age, which is crazy. So catch that one. Heavyweight fight between Andrei Arlovsky versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. Then we get to the main event, or I'm sorry, the main card. The main card starts off with Phil Haas versus Bruno Ferreira. Phil Haas, 35 years old, Ferreira 31. We got an MMA record of 12-5 for Haas and 10-1 for Ferreira. So Phil Haas, if you remember, because he's got that Kevin Randall look with the bleached blonde hair. If you know if you're a hardcore fan, you know who Kevin Randall is. Randleman. I'm sorry, I keep saying Randall. It's Kevin Randleman. But yeah, excuse me. The sickness, man, it's messing with my brain. Kevin Randleman. He was the monster. Crazy. But yeah, he's got that look on him. But anyway, he was in the corner of Dylan Dennis, and he was one of the guys causing all the ruckus in the fucking corner, backstage, all that shit in the cage or in the ring and stuff when Dennis fought Logan Paul. And he was easily known who he was because he had the fucking hair there too. But anyway, in the UFC, Phil Haas is 4-3. Ferreira's 1-1. They both got pretty decent knockouts. 8 knockouts for Haas, 7 for Ferreira. Couple of subs each. Couple decisions for Haas, none for Ferreira. So Ferreira doesn't like to go to decision. He likes to finish the fight for sure. They're both coming off of losses. Phil Haas being 2 in a row for him, so he's trying to break that losing streak. Two losses in the UFC is never good, especially in a row. So, and I mean, he's on, man, in his last 4 fights, he only has 1 win. So that's not good. And every one of his fights in the past 4 fights have ended by KO, except for the one he won, which was ended by TKO. So if you're betting on this fight, just judging by what both of these guys do, I would say bet on either an under 4 rounds, or you know, for it not to go the distance, or for a KO or TKO from one of them, because Ferreira's coming off a loss by KO as well, but the rest of his wins are all by KO or TKO. So that's something to look at when you're looking to bet. I know if I'm not great at betting, but when I'm looking at betting, that's what I'm looking at, because you can make those prop bets or parlay something in there and, you know, possibly get that. So both these guys are heavy hitters. Phil Haas has, you know, he's got that physique, man. He's ripped up, he's shredded, but just bad luck for him in the past few fights. Hasn't been able to put it together, taking shots, getting KO'd. So he needs to turn it around, because that's 2 losses in a row. You get that third, if he gets KO'd in this fight, you can be damn sure that he's going to get cut. So Bruno Ferreira is going to be looking to try to make that happen and not collect his second loss in a row, and also his second loss overall, because he only has one loss on his record, which was his last fight. That was his first loss in his career. And you never know. I say it all the time. You never know how these guys are going to bounce back from their first loss after being undefeated, especially when you're like 10-0, and then you get that first loss and it messes with your head. So this might be Phil Haas's time to capitalize and come back from that little skid he has of 2 fights and get a big knockout win over Fajeda, or Fajeda can come out and maybe end Haas's career in the UFC for now, at least. So that's the first fight of the night. I got to keep taking sips, man, because my throat. I don't want to be clearing my throat over and over again. Next fight, Ricky Simón versus Mario Batista. Yeah, Simón is Simón. I believe it's Simón, especially with that little thing over the O. But he had he's the one with the crazy kind of mullet style hair. You can see it in this picture a little bit, but apparently he cut it off. He said Batista's too good looking. He didn't want to be the ugly one out of the two. I was laughing when I heard that. He was on UFC Unfiltered earlier today. But yeah, both these guys similar age, 20-4 for Ricky, and 13-2 for Batista. And then 8-3 in the UFC for Ricky Simón. 6 KOs, 2 by loss, and then 4-1 in the sub category. So he's got 4 submissions, 10 decisions though. That's a lot. 11 overall, 1 loss, and he's coming off a loss. So that's a lot of decisions. But I mean, Ricky Simón is always involved in a pretty fun fight. So even if it does go to decision, that's something that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a boring fight. Batista is on a 5-fight win streak. So, and his last fights have been, let's see how he's been winning. Looks like he's 7-2 in the UFC. More subs than KOs, a few decisions. So, this has potential to be an exciting fight. They're fighting in the bantamweight division. I couldn't think of the name of the division. Fighting in the bantamweight division, these small guys, they go at it, and they're pretty fast paced. So especially Ricky Simón, if you've seen him fight before, he definitely is high paced fight and exciting. So, and he's willing to step in there and throw. So this should be a decent fight. 5-fight win streak, like I said, for Batista. So he's looking to keep that going. And if Simón can turn that last loss into a win, break that streak for him, should be good. 20-4, I mean, he only has a few losses. And he did lose to Song Yadong. So it's not like he lost to some scrub. He actually lost to a great competitor in his last fight. So let's see what happens with this fight. Simón, again, heavy hands, exciting fighter, and there's that crazy hair I was talking about. But Batista got those really good submissions, man, and he's quick with it, and he gets in his positions very fast. So this could be fire on the feet, fire on the ground. I'm thinking it's gonna be high paced, fast, and exciting. So hopefully that's how that fight goes. Let's move on to Jim Miller versus Gabriel Benitez. Now, Jim Miller has been kind of in the news lately because he's been, of course, talking about wanting to fight at UFC 300. And now that he's fighting here, a lot of people question if that was going to still happen. But apparently he said, give me the contract, I'll sign it. I don't care what happens in this last fight. So he's just looking to stay active. He wants to be the first person to fight in UFC 100, 200, and 300, which sounds like it's going to happen unless he gets seriously injured in this fight. that's a risk he's taking by fighting right now and not, possibly not being able to make it to UFC 300 by taking this fight. So best of luck to him, because I do want to see him do well. He's one of those great guys that have been around for a long time. 36-17 overall, 26-16 in the UFC. So that's 42 fights. Damn. Is that right? 30? Yeah, 42 fights in the UFC. It might be 43, because I think he has like a no contest or something too. Yeah, 43 fights in the UFC. Damn. That's like Arlovsky. Yeah, he had a no contest against Pat Healy back in 2013. Holy shit. And he's fought big names. So 43 fights in the UFC, going for his 44th fight. He's 40 years old, 7 KO wins, only stopped twice by KO or TKO, 19 submission wins for Jim Miller. So you get on the ground and he's dangerous. He can get those fucking chokes in and you're done. He's a scrappy fucker. Only 3 of those losses by submission for him. And then he doesn't do well in the decision column. That's a lot of decisions. 22 decisions in his record, and 12 of them he's lost. So if it goes to decision, it doesn't really go his way more times than none. But I mean, it's fairly close, 12-10, but that's still a lot of decision losses. So he really doesn't want to let that go to decision, because it's too much teetering on the side that he's going to lose that. But he's been around for so damn long, man. And Jim Miller, I mean, he's not one of those guys that so sorry. He's not one of those guys that is super flashy or anything, but he's just really skilled, really fast, and good at what he does. I think he's only been on like 1 4-fight losing streak. He had 2 there, 1 there, 1 there. Yeah, he had 1 4-fight losing streak in 2017 through 2018, and that was it. He's only ever lost like 2 fights in a row besides that. So I mean, he's constantly winning, and I mean, his record shows that, obviously. But yeah, he's just one of those scrappy little fuckers, and he's also battled Lyme disease throughout most of his life. So it's pretty impressive that he's been able to do as well as he has, and the longevity of his career while also battling Lyme disease, which is not fun, from everything I've heard. So yeah, Jim Miller, badass, and I want to see him make it to UFC 300. And he says that is going to wrap up his career soon after that, if not at 300. So I don't know that it's been confirmed that he said he's going to retire at UFC 300, but there's talks around him retiring soon after that, if not there. So good luck to him here against a younger guy, a little bit younger, 35 years old, Gabriel Benitez, 33-10 overall, 7-6 in the UFC. So that's 43 fights. He's had as many fights in his career as Chip Miller has had in the UFC. Talk about an experience difference there. And only a 5-year age difference, so that's kind of crazy. But let's see. 9 wins by KO, 4 losses for him by KO or TKO, 10 submission wins. So this might turn into a really good ground game fight. There might be some good grappling and submission attempts in this fight, considering they both have double-digit wins in the submission column. And then he's 4-4 when it comes to decisions, 4 wins, 4 losses, and they're both coming off a win. So we'll see how this one goes. A little bit of a younger, less experienced guy overall compared to Jim Miller, who's just a fucking legend at this point. And Jim Miller still has that fight in him, still has that fire under his ass. This should be a good one. I mean, you could see here that flush punch right there. Holy shit. And Jim Miller will get bloodied up. He's got that dog in him, though. He'll get bloodied up, he'll get beat up, but he's still coming at you, and he can still finish you. He can still win that fight, even if he's looking down. Benitez being that short, shorter. They're both kind of short because they're smaller weights. But yeah, this is it's lightweight. I mean, it's not that bad, 155. But being the little bit of a younger guy, good ground and pound. Like I said, he's good on the ground. So this should be a fairly competitive fight. Let's move on to the co-main. Natediaz Nicolau versus Manel Kopp. This one has potential too, because Manel Kopp is an explosive ass fighter. This dude comes out with the fury. He comes out hot for sure. And Nicolau's no joke himself. I mean, Nicolau's 31, Manel Kopp's 30. Nicolau has a record of 19-3 overall, 4-1 in the UFC. 5 wins by KO TKO. Lost 3 times in that category. He's got 5 wins by sub and 9 wins by decision. But he's coming off a loss. So, but let's see, who is he? I'm pretty sure he's had a couple decent names in there on his record. His last fight was against Brandon Royval, which he lost, and that was in April of last year. But he's beat Matt Schnell, David Dovrak, Tim Elliott, Manel Kopp. Oh, this is a rematch. They fought before, and Nicolau won. I didn't even realize that. It was a split decision win, though, back in March of 2021. So Manel Kopp's looking for some revenge here. And he's 19-6 overall. So, pretty similar records, 4-2 in the UFC. But Manel Kopp's got 11 wins by KO. Hasn't been stopped by KO or TKO at all. 11 KO TKO wins out of his 19. That's pretty damn good. Which what he's looking for. 5 wins by sub, and only lost twice by sub, and then 3 and 4 in the decision column. So, and he's on a 4-fight win streak, and those 4 fights were against Felipe Dos Santos, David Dovrak, Zhalgas Zamu, and Ode Osborne. I'm not even trying to say that dude's name. So since he fought Nicolau last, he is on a 4-fight win streak. So that lit a fire under his ass, and apparently he's out there ready to continue that win streak. 4-fight win streak. He's looking for 5. But here's Nicolau, big punch, and Manel Kopp definitely looking for KO, TKO. That's how he likes to win. That's how he does win. So he's going to come out with the fury, throwing those fists as hard as he can. And, looking for that stoppage to get back at Nicolau for that decision win that he ran away with last time. Then we get to the main event, which is good because my throat is not holding up as well as I hoped. I can feel it. It's getting worse and worse. So we'll talk about this main event, and then we'll get the hell out of here. And I will rest my voice and my throat for the rest of the night. But thanks for holding in there if you're still here watching. And if you're listening later on, I apologize for the clearing of the throat and everything. But thanks for bearing with me. Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker. Another rematch. Because, like I said earlier, Ankalaev threw that illegal knee while Walker was down, and Walker couldn't answer the questions of the doctor. So it was a doctor stoppage, no contest, which is weird. You would think it'd be a DQ for Ankalaev, considering he threw the illegal knee, but they called it a no contest. So both of these guys are 31 years old. Ankalaev is 17-1 overall, 9-1-1 in the UFC, 9-0 in the KO TKO column, which means he's got 9 wins by KO or TKO. He's only lost once by sub. He has no submission wins, and he's got 8 decision wins, no decision losses. And his last 2 fights, he had a no contest against Johnny Walker that I just explained. Then he had a draw when he was fighting for the vacant light heavyweight title against Jan Blachowicz. That's kind of stinker of a fight. Oh, man. So his past 2 fights have not been great. So he needs to step it up here. And, when you have 2 undecisive fights on your record for your last 2 fights, it's almost as bad as having 2 losses. So he needs to step it up here and look for a big finish. That'd be his best bet. But he's fighting somebody who is awkward and explosive. Johnny Walker likes to do a lot of crazy flying attacks, spinning attacks, everything. But he's 21-7 overall with a record in the UFC of 7-4-1. He's got 16 KO wins, but 4 KO TKO losses. 3 submission wins with 1 loss in the submission column. And then he's 2-2 when it comes to decisions. 2 wins and 2 losses. So not a lot of decisions on his record. Because he's always looking for a finish with those crazy strikes. But Ankalaev hits hard, heavy hands against Thiago Silva. I mean, that was he's not a hard guy. I mean, he's not an easy guy to get out of there, and he landed some big punches on him, as well as against Jan Blachowicz. But even though that wound up being a draw, it was a draw because they both fought it out pretty hard. It wasn't the most exciting fight, but they definitely exchanged some big punches, some big strikes overall. Ooh, man. Getting there. I am getting there. But yeah, he got this big KO versus Ian Cutelaba. That nasty ground and pound. But he's got to watch out for Johnny Walker's flying attacks. Like I said, he likes this flying knee. He likes jumping straight up in the air with that knee out there, ready to knock you out with it. Wants to land it on the chin. But, he's got the big punches as well. This, again, an impressive win against Paul Craig, which was unexpected. I mean, I thought this was going to kind of be a better fight when it came down to it. And Johnny Walker came away with a big win over Paul Craig. That was, that was by TKO in the first round. And Paul Craig is not an easy guy to get out of there, especially that early. So, and then, he's also got the submission game against Ian Cutelaba. Again, they share a similar opponent, and they both got wins over him. While Ankalaev got the KO win over Ian Cutelaba, Johnny Walker got a submission win over him. So, except Ankalaev did it in the first round very quickly, as opposed to Walker, who got Cutelaba out of there in the first round as well, but it was 4 minutes in. So, yeah, like I said, these two are pretty similarly matched up. That last fight was looking pretty decent until the illegal knee. So we'll see what this fight has to hold. Main event fight. It's happening Saturday. I believe it is a little bit earlier because I believe there's also a boxing match after that. Beterbiev is fighting on ESPN after the UFC fight, if I remember correctly. Let me see what time. This is main card starts at 5 p.m. And being that there's 5 fights? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be over fairly quick. So a little bit of an earlier start, 5 p.m. Arizona time. Make that work for your time zone. Just look up UFC events, Google UFC events. And as long as you have your location on, the Google search will bring up the card and tell you exactly what time the main card gets started in your time zone. That's a little tip I learned while doing this podcast, because I always try to find out what time things start. And I like to be right about it and not, tell people the wrong times. So I'm going to take my last sip here. And in under an hour, I did this podcast because there wasn't a lot to cover. But I want to get out of here before I lose my voice completely or before I even push it to that point. So thank you for everybody who joined in. Thanks to my mom. She joined in and gave me a little get well in the chat. Alexa, stop. Echo, stop. I don't know why my stupid Amazon device is talking to me. It's been doing that a lot lately. Apparently it wants attention. Anyway, Magix, thanks for joining in as well in the chat. Everyone else that was watching, thank you. Thanks for the support as usual. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to go rest my voice and hopefully my throat doesn't get any worse in the morning. Thanks again. We'll see. Technically Unsound Podcast. Join in this Sunday, 7 p.m. Arizona time, Tuesdays as well. We should be back this week, full force like usual, and we'll have a lot to talk about because we took a week off. So don't forget to watch that. Go subscribe, all that good stuff. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel as well. Share it with somebody. Follow all my social media going on down there. And yeah, we'll see you next Thursday. Thanks again. I'm out. Peace. Oh, I got to actually push the right button now. I'm out. Later.